It is possible to customize the overview page for staff, pupils, and families within Atom. This allows the school to customize the default layout that their staff will see when they visit one of these pages, and it also allows for individual staff members to customize the overview page to meet their operational requirements. Staff members will need to be given the privileges in order to do this. When they have the privileges, they will see an Edit This Page button appear at the top right of the screen. I'm going to click on this and open it in a new tab so that we can refer back to this one when we make the changes. I also have privileges in this profile to change not only my layout, but the default layout for the school. The default layout is one that will apply to any staff members who have not customized their own layouts. Again, remember that this applies equally to pupils, families, and staff members. I'm going to concentrate on customizing my layout so that I don't interrupt the view for the rest of the school, for the rest of the staff members. I click on the Edit Layout button. Here, I'm reminded that the changes made will only apply to this profile, and so I can make any changes here confident that they will not affect anyone else in the school. Having a look, Adam has provided us with a rough layout of what our overview page will look like. If we have a look at the top left-hand block, you'll see that the heading has been left blank, the color has been set to default, the width set to 1/3, the content set to widget, and the widget that's been chosen is the pupil photograph. That, of course, maps to this block up here, where we see the pupil photograph. Next to it, we see the pupil information block shown. In that, we have a number of text fields or a number of information fields related to this pupil. Going back to our customization screen, we can see that heading, pupil information. We can see that this has been set to 2/3 width. We could change it if we wanted to, and Adam will update the width here. Notice that it now thinks that allergies will fit better on the side. But let's change this back to 2/3 so that the two 1/3 blocks fit neatly next to it. Here we see that the contents of this block are based on the field list, and the fields that are listed are shown below. What I want to do, because this is a fairly long list of fields, is remove some of the ones that don't apply to me. Take special note of these medical ones at the bottom, but I'll also remove a number of others as we go along. What I'm going to do then is remove the doctor and the doctor's telephone number, medical aid, and some of these other fields that I don't think apply to me. And once I'm done, I can go to the bottom of the screen. There is a save button. Click on save and the page reloads. Notice here the medical aid, doctor, and so on. Once I go to the top and immediately reload this page, so those have disappeared from this list. The doctor and the medical aid details are no longer shown here. I notice that I've got a bit of a gap on my overview screen here, and I've got an idea with what we can do with that. I'm going to add a new block. Now when I click on this, nothing appears to happen, but at the bottom you'll notice that the first block that we have, which was our pupil photograph, has been duplicated down below. I'm going to call this block timetable. And for the sake of illustration, I'm going to change the color to yellow. I'm going to keep the width as 1/3, and I do want a widget to be shown, and that widget from the list is the timetable widget. I don't want it shown at the bottom, I'd like it shown below the allergies. You'll notice here though that the allergies block takes up more space than the field list, and we're going to have to make some approximations with our layout, but nevertheless I'm going to start clicking on the up option to move this block up through the list. Notice that Adam rearranges things as it goes, to try and fit in best with the existing layout. At this point, I've moved my allergies out the way, so I'm going to move that down. On this overview screen, it appears though that it's going to show next to it. But again, this isn't a precise layout with what we've got here, and there was definitely a gap below that. So as long as I'm not above the allergies and I'm below the allergies for my timetable, we can make a reasonable guess as to what's going to happen here. So I'm going to save this overview screen, go back and reload my overview page, and as we scroll down you'll see that we have the timetable module shown in a yellow block. I've now introduced some space over there, and it will take a little bit of fiddling to get a layout that looks good and does what you need it to do, but nevertheless that's an illustration of how we can add additional blocks to this. Notice with the allergies block and the pupil information block, if I look on this screen here, they are both set as field lists. However, because this allergies block only has a single field selected, whereas this pupil information has a whole host of fields selected, this does not show as a table. If I were to add in perhaps one of the other medical fields that I removed, such as medical notes, and save this, you'll see that this allergies block changes to include a table layout, and that's because we've chosen more than one field. So again, I can come back here, remove the medical notes, save this, and now when I refresh this page, that will display as a single value rather than a table. If at any point I decide that I don't like my layout, or perhaps I've made too many changes and can't get it back, I do have the option to reset this view to the default. This will reset my view to exactly what everyone else would see with their default view. And again, clicking on my overview link now, you'll see that my timetable block has disappeared, my medical information is back, and we are now looking at the same block that everyone else is looking at. Please be careful when editing the default layout, because that will change the layout for all users on the system, and that might frustrate some people if you remove information that they have been used to seeing. In the documentation, we discuss where the different privileges are for the different options here, whether they can change the layout for pupils, families, and staff, and whether within that they can change their own layouts, or they can change the default layouts for each of those options. The documentation will have all of that information and more.